this is John for MTG coming at you with a quick deck tech for Black White Devotion by Killagerm's recent 5.0 list. So, Modern has been opened back up by the recent bannings of, I don't know, basically every control card known to man, plus Uro, plus Simian Spirit Guide. Control still seems to be doing reasonably well. Mid-range is making a bit of a comeback. I know people were working on some Jund lists. Grixis Death Shadow seems to be making a comeback. There's all kinds of stuff going on. One on the list, though, kind of stood out to me, at least as something interesting, maybe not necessarily format defining, was this Black White Devotion deck by Killagerm. I saw him mentioning it on, I believe it was Doomwake's stream. Basically, it's the old mono black Devotion shell with some white cards added in for utility, which I can't really disagree with. You have, your usual Gifted Liliana the Veil, Phyrexian Obliterator, Grey Merchant of Asphodel kind of shell that you normally see, as well as like some number of Phyrexian Arenas. And then you're playing some white utility cards like Path to Exile, Lingering Souls, and Kaya in the main deck. You're also running some amount of Hand Disruption along with Fatal Pushes, some Collective Brutality. So basically you're running all the good black stuff with some white utility. Lingering Souls allows you to play a little bit more of a one-for-one game against some of the mid-range and control decks of the format. Path gives you more utility in your removal in addition to Fatal Push. Kaya is just a very powerful Planeswalker in what her abilities are. While the -1 is not relevant in a lot of formats in Modern, it actually is, because there is a lot of like Goblin Guides and Noble Hierarchs, Ether Vials, all kind of that stuff running around. The instant of life gain is kind of important when you're playing a Phyrexian Arena deck, as well as Thoughtseize. So just a lot of like small utility. I love the random one-ofs, like the one of Urborg, the one of Silent Clearing, the one of Kalitas in the main deck, the one of Phyrexian Arena in the main deck. And there's a lot of utility in the one-ofs that are popping up in the main deck, as well as some in the sideboard. So, overall, very interesting main deck shell. My only thought process is maybe you want a 25th land, as you do want to consistently hit your 3, 4, and 5 land drops. Maybe another Silent Clearing, although I know it is a strain on the life total a little bit, but it does give you utility as well. There is not a single Plains in the deck, which might be a little bit odd, but when you consider you're trying to cast Phyrexian Obliterator, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but something to consider when you might be facing down a Blood Moon deck. Sideboard, 1 copy of Disenchant. I mean, there's a lot of things you might want to blow up. A Chalice of the Void, a Leyline of Sanctity, Blood Moon, an Ether Vial, etc., etc. So having a 1-of isn't bad. Stony Silence as a 1-of seems once again weird to me. But, there are, Pyre of the Hero decks floating around. Ether Vial is a thing. It does have decent utility against Tron, which could be a rough matchup, etc., etc. A couple copies of Rest in Peace. Dredge is making a little bit of resurgence now that its sister deck, Oops All Spells, is dead. So not terrible to have a kind of mid-range or a kind of a grindy tool against graveyard decks specifically. Liliana Last Hope. This is a card that's fallen by the wayside in some regards, but pretty good against little derp decks. Also decent against control. Its ultimate's very threatening. Second copy of Phyrexian Arena for grinding matchups. 1 copy of Extinction Event just to have a sweeper. Eradicator Valkyrie is an interesting one. It can't be hit by Planeswalkers. It's a flying lifelink 4/3, so, the whole thing dies to bolt, etc. The Boast ability is interesting. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or Planeswalker. I believe Boast is triggered when you attack. So, if you get to untap, attack. Opponent has to sack a creature or Planeswalker. Anguish Unmaking, very painful way to answer anything, basically. Kembal is a nice thing against things like Storm and Burn. 3 copies of Ashiok, pretty good against Titan and okay against Tron. Fulminator Mage, primarily here for Tron and the Titan Shift decks going on. So, with the format kind of shaking out the way it is, with some of the big mana decks coming back, it's not terrible to have some utility against those cards. But anyways, if you like these kind of quick deck kicks, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below about what you think about these kind of deck techs and one-match plays. And also, if you happen to like this particular deck, please leave a comment down below. Let me know, so maybe we'll do a whole league with the deck. Let's get into the match, shall we? I'm here for the match with Black-White Devotion. I'm not really sure that this hand is keepable. I mean, it's interesting because we have Inquisition and Lingering Souls, which is good in a lot of fair matchups. So I'm actually go ahead and risk this hand, especially on the draw, but I do think it's better to mulligan, so we're going to mulligan. This hand, probably a little bit better. Probably put back Obliterator for now, question mark. We were only one land away from casting it, but it looks like it might actually have been a reasonable Magic card. Goblin seems like it's going to be a bit of a tricky matchup. Alright, they got Snoop and Harbinger, Ringleader, and take away their turn 2 play at least. Another Inquisition is interesting. Just think we go ahead and get Aetherborns down. I don't know that we're going to win a long game, so weird thing about this deck is it's obviously a mid-range shell, so like I'm not entirely sure. And the question is with Harbinger is, do they really want to put something on top? Yeah, the first hand definitely would have been worse. This looks like they ripped land. Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. Love to get Obliterator down, but if they... Okay, I'm just taking Munitions Expert, no questions asked there. Opponent probably shouldn't have F6 there. But yeah, I'd love to get Obliterator down, but they could just gun it down and keep their... Would they be able to gun it down? Not sure if it was correct to just jam Obliterator there or not. This is currently our opponent's hand. Yeah, you should like almost never F6 when you have an active Ether Vial, because you never know when you're going to get hit by like some type of whatever effect. Mm. Not Playground Blood Moon in game 1. Path to Exile is a pretty decent draw here. Opponent can block and sack, which is kind of annoying, but it's also whatever. Probably should path Kiki Jiki here, but Ringleader is potentially a lot of value. Chieftain's annoying, I'll grant them that much. We could kill the Snoop here. Which is the card that gives them the ability to play the long game. We know they're drawing an Ether Vial, which is kind of whatever. So they have to block or sack something next turn. So we should actually be able to steal game 1 here, which is interesting. I don't even know what's in the sideboard for this kind of matchup, so. Yep. Funny part is each one of our creatures is a 2/3, so like they can't really do much in terms of block, go to 1. Sure. I mean, there are draws that like get him out of things, like Ringleader into stuff or Snoop into stuff. Matron into stuff could be annoying. So what is in the sideboard? Extinction Event and Liliana seem pretty good. Could potentially bring in like a 1/0 Stony Silence to shut down their vials. Ringleader. Yeah, kind of figured that was your play. That's quite a few hits. This deck is so freaking stupid. Like, we literally had them down to what? Chieftain, and then they Matron into Ringleader into stuff. It's just kind of dumb. They have Munitions Expert and Mog War Marshal in hand. I'm not sure what they're likely to copy here. Probably like Chieftain or something. Completely blanks. That is game, friend. He definitely made it interesting. Alright, one extinction event. Liana, the Last Hope. Ashiok's interesting, but too hard to defend, I think. Stony Silence seems okay. Kaya's kind of whatever, as is Liliana, ironically. They both, like, kind of do things, but also kind of don't. Like, they have so many random derpers that Liliana feels really bad. Kaya, I guess, at least deals with Ether Vial kind of profitably, so probably leaving one of her over some of the other stuff. Disenchant, I think, is a little too narrow. Like, Silence I like because it shuts off all of them. Disenchant only shuts down one. Ashiok is a consideration because it stops their searching nonsense. It doesn't stop Ringleader, but it does stop, the tutors. Actually, against Pyre, it becomes a lot more interesting. So maybe that's a reason to want Disenchant as well. Is Pyre of Heroes could be extremely obnoxious. We might want that. So Kaya can actually probably go out. Brutality is kind of whatever against them. So maybe we bring in the Kaya back in. Like, I forgot about Pyre of Heroes being in these decks, thanks to certain people working on some stuff. So, kind of hoping they're on like an Ether Vial hand. Get a basic Swamp. You never know what kind of nonsense they're messing with. They could have Tarfire on one, which is kind of whatever. We don't even have anything that we care about in that regard. So their hand has a bunch of little derpers and Krenko. I think Harbinger is the scariest, so I think we actually take Harbinger. Like, I don't care about the derpers, and I don't care about like, Munitions Expert's annoying. It's going to get to kill something, but yeah, like, we get to completely shut that down, which is nice. no way to reactivate this. Their colors don't play the right stuff. Actually mildly annoying here that we can't, we're not drawing lands. What are we running, 24? Yeah, this feels like a deck that might run like 25 sometimes. Would kind of suck if we, lost this game because we can't hit land drops for our obliterators and such. As soon as I think we hit our third land, we're pretty good. Interesting to see if they pay the Echo here. So that ties up their mana for the turn. So that leaves the battlefield. Yeah. I'm just going to push it. It's not the most exciting target, but it's whatever. Really don't want to have to exile anything here. Guess we cast Thoughtseize. It's not super exciting. Another frickin' Harbinger. Again, I think we take the Harbinger. Yep, and the War Marshal, kind of obnoxious. Kind of awkward, right? Like, we're going to play this, we're going to go down quite a bit of life. I still think we have to play it, but it's just... I mean, our opponent could potentially kill this, but I don't know that they want to. It's possible they just jam Cranko and pass. Be like the best case scenario for us. Well, I mean, when we miss land drops, you know. Yeah, so even without brutalities, we still have a decent amount of life gain in the deck. We have the 4 Aetherborns, Kaya, and the 2... Plus we have a random Cletus that we didn't see. Once again, this hand's one of those if we draw our third land kind of hands. Guess we gotta take Chalice. Our hand's a bit of a stinker. Have some of the violin. Do you have on 1? Okay, sure. Well, at least we knew what your draws were. Just pass. Don't cast your Harbinger. There you go. Actually, I think I was supposed to Kaya there, but, you know, whatever. Curious what they get with Harbinger. A lot of it depends on where they decide to go with this chieftain, what I'm going to do. So we know they have Sling Gang Lieutenant in hand, which is annoying. Take my 5 and like it. think we risk going to 2 here, which is really dangerous, just to get that Sling Gang out of their hand. Yeah, if they draw a land, we're dead either way, I guess. Alright, and we lost, which is unfortunate, but it was a close set there, so